Okay, little one, how are you doing? Today is Monday, 31st of January 2022, and it was so difficult to do the whole setup today. It just little things, and it took me more than 1 hour to finally get things rolling. So please enjoy this video a lot. Don't skip it. And the last few videos I've run into all kind of problems. One day the video stopped working, the other one the audio store stopped working. The next day the memory card got full. So like, but funny enough, and thank God, the first 8 or 9 videos were 8. They were quite very smooth. Well, all of them have had some kind of problem, right? Especially at the beginning, the sound was quite a challenge to get proper, but it's all good. And now the studio looks the same, but today mommy helped me and we made it really organized and nice and clean. But anyway, so that's really good. I'm really happy that like it looks really nice, and I hope that with time I'll make it nicer. But anyway, kiddo, today was, as usual, another good day, very good day. Um, we first of all, as usual, woke up, came to see you. Now you have a new favorite song, which is like the one that what is it that I like to move it by William I am. So now that's what you dance, and it's all good, whatever, whatever you want. But funny enough, you do actually have, because you've heard a lot of different music, right? Since the day you were born, and I have tried to expose you from day one to better kind of music, to more sophisticated kind of music than just what you're listening now. So I guess that's going to stay with you all your life, the same way that it stayed with me when, because of my dad exposed me to classical music, and to music that it's a bit more complex and more challenging to the brain than the usual pop stuff that you can hear nowadays everywhere. So we changed because your mommy wanted to hear some classical music, contemporary, like 20th century classical music, and I chose some Dmitriev Shostakovich, and his music can be a real challenge for any adult, anyone, even people that are into classical music, but they don't pass beyond the classics, right? Like Mozart and Beethoven, and even like more modern people, like anyone will just find it difficult because this guy, a lot of his music was created after World War, so World War One, I guess. Yes, so the music can be very, very, very difficult, very complex, very at times unpleasant, because he's describing with his music the horrors of war. So and yet I never saw you distressed, or you never actually asked me to change music. So I like that your range and your tolerance, it's quite very good for a toddler. Then we just played, right? That's what Daddy and you do all the time. We just play and play and play and just play a little bit more. Then I was off to do some recording today. No, actually today I didn't record. And I have a crypto channel with a couple of other people, and today I was reviewing a video we recorded on Friday. And well, I only can tell you this: if you undertake projects that require creativity, and you happen to be the creative person, you happen to be the person that, well, not only creates, but also the person that has the ability to turn something that can be very dry and difficult into something fun, and something that anyone would care to watch. Don't go with don't partner with people that have no creativity, no imagination, or no humility to understand that they are they can damage your product. They can manage your whatever it is that you're doing, because these kind of people will choke good projects, like they are choking some of these two people. One of them is fantastic, but the other one is just choking the project out of insecurity, and just being so insecure, right? Like, you can't tolerate being number one, or like, okay, if you don't, who cares, right? I mean, it's a partnership, and as long as the end product is good, it doesn't matter who is on screen, right? But when you partner up with insecure people full of complexes, then it's just going to be a mess. And if they have no creativity, well, it's even worse. And so it's that part of things. It's not going so well, but we're trying. We're doing our best. The product is not bad. The concept is excellent, and of course, Daddy created it. so yeah, it's a shame, right? Real shame. But we're trying to save it. We're trying to make it, convert it into something that is what it was meant to be, something really good, something very consumable, something that adds value to people. Because but if you create something, it needs to add value to people, just as I'm trying to create value for you here, one way or the other. So I of course, like, it's so new to make videos for you. It's so new to make videos about my personal life. It's so new to make videos, like, that I expose myself and my thoughts and my beliefs and everything. But at the same time, if I want you to watch in the future these videos, they need to provide something for you, right? You're not going to watch them just because it's Daddy. But what I'm trying to do here is just leave some kind of legacy for you, in many different ways, right? One is, of course, just to remind you, just to let you know how you were when you were tiny, and how you're going to evolve over time, and how that's one. But also, I want you to see the evolution of your own daddy, right? I want you to know your daddy, because by the time you remember when you are, like, more aware of what happens in life, you will always have the memory of your daddy as an adult, and very soon as a old person, because I'm not young. So I want you to have to peek into the life of your dad when he was just a beginner of being your dad. Okay, so, and I want you to know a little bit of society, right? That you came to exist in, right? And I also want to leave some advice, right? Some teachings, some lessons for you, and for you alone. So, because I don't know how our relationship is going to be in the future. I hope it's the best, but there's only so much I can control. There's also your side, and if one day you decide that you don't like me so much, because it happens a lot. I see a lot of parents, a lot of children that don't like one of their parents or both of their parents, right? I myself don't have the best of relationship with my dad. I love him, yes, I do, but I love him because he's my dad, not because I find him a very likable person, because for me he's not. So probably you will feel similarly to me. I'll do everything I can not to. I actually am using my father. I have used my dad as a blueprint of the kind of person I don't want to be. It's very tough to say something like that. Very, very strong. It sounds even cruel. But the truth is that he was the one that could have made the difference. He was the responsible one. He was the adult. He was the supposedly the wiser one of us. And he didn't live up to those expectations. He lived up to many other expectations. He was a fantastic provider, definitely, for sure. And at some point, He may have been a very loving father, but not from the moment I can remember. So that can be, it can be that daddy just doesn't make it to in life, like just die before, right? So I want to leave something that you can record, you can play, and you can listen to daddy, and you may get a couple of good lessons or ideas or opinions, right? That may prove useful in your life in the future. So that's how I'm trying to provide value, right? And this is also going to be a great experiment about whether that is ideas of how to age better, how to age in a dignified manner, full of vitality, full of strength, full of life, full of freshness. It's going to be. Am I going to succeed? Or am I going to age exactly as I think I want? We'll see, right? And how I develop professionally from here onwards, because you came and I decided to change everything for you. You didn't change things. I took the conscious decision to change everything, including myself. From the way I used to interact with people and things to most of my habits. I'm trying to change my belief system. I'm trying to get rid of my limiting beliefs, right? I'm trying to build a person that you can learn from, and you can be proud of, and you can be and you can follow as an example of how to be instead of how not to be, right? So that's what I'm doing here, and that's why I get very not frustrated. Yeah, I do get frustrated. I get like about the project I'm telling you about. Like, it's a great idea. It we've done very well, but because I told you, right, when the person that it ends up being in charge, unfortunately, most of the time, all my life, I've been in charge of every project of mine. But this one, it just things happen, right? And honestly, I had to try these kind of things. Like sometimes I never worked with anyone, I never partnered up with anyone, and for good reason. But I decided at some point that it was important to do so, and I did. And this is the result. The result is that when you start shining, when your ideas are good, when your performance is good, you will find a lot of idiots that they prefer to destroy their own project rather than let others shine. I mean, some people are just dark and you cannot get them to shine, but at least they are benefiting more than everyone else from that shining, which should be enough, right? At the end of the day, what do you want? You want a project to succeed, or you want a product, or you want yourself to shine while you have no light of your own. Better just let others do, right? But this is something I also want to talk about, because I've done business so many times. I've taken a lot of different roles in leadership, management, and entrepreneurship, marketing, a lot of crypto, a lot of communication, right? So I also want to tell you the things that I do today and how I do them, or how not to do certain things and do certain mistakes. You know what? Because unfortunately, when we grow up as well, we end up seeing our old parents old. And by that time, they don't shine as they used to, right? Because they're not as active as they were. They don't have many activities. They don't have many challenges. They don't have all these things that keep them like up and running and alert and decisive and engaged with life and with people. I'm talking about my dad. My dad, your grandfather, used to be a very bright man. And there's no reason, I believe, that I don't believe there's a reason that he stopped being that bright man, other than that he believed that he was old, and he accepted the idea of aging and become, like this little old man, kind of victim, the kind of person that fell victim to life. You fall victim to age, you fall victim to circumstances. And even though he had an all in all a very successful life, he just surrendered long ago. So that's what I get to see. I do remember some shining moments, and I remember thinking this guy is very impressive and is very bright, but you only have to take my word for it, because I have no proof. And at least I'm living proof here. Not that I'm very bright. Maybe I'm living proof of being a complete idiot. But at least you get to see your dad at his prime. And this is funny, because I'm 49, but yet I feel that I am only going to get to my prime. I'm not there yet. I can only tell you that I'm only getting started. And this is something that I'm very excited about. And you are a reason for it, definitely. I don't want to say you inspire me, because I just love you and that's it. You existing is more than enough. But it's more than you inspire me, I want to inspire you. Actually, that's it. What I want is, I want you to look at Daddy every day until the day I die, and you feel inspired to live, to develop, to connect, to improve, to be yourself, to be your absolute most awesome self, to believe in you, to believe in yourself, in your capabilities, in everything you think, in everything you feel, in everything you are. That's what I want. I don't want you to take my word or my opinions or my ideas. I just want you to be inspired, to be yourself, to copy no one, to follow no one unless they deserve to be followed. And believe me, son, there's not a lot of people that deserve to be followed. I would like to inspire you to be the leader of your own life. You don't have to lead anyone. If the time or circumstance comes for you to lead others, so be it. But first of all, you have to lead yourself. You have to inspire others if you're going to lead, through example, through extraordinary example and determination. Yeah, so that's it. And that was just the beginning of this video. Imagine how long it's going to go. Now, the truth is, I don't want to make it long, because otherwise the video, like the SD card. This is a memory card. It's going to have, it's going to get full, or this thing is going to have some problem again. But I wanted to talk about something that I was thinking throughout the day. At some point around 7 p.m. or something, I messaged your mommy and I said, hey, I want just to talk, to have a video call with you. And she called me later, and she just, you could see me, I could see you. And one thing I love about when you're young, right, so young, is that you don't know limits. I mean, plain and simple. And I'm talking since day zero, right? Since day one, you're in the world. You don't know what the limits are. And this is something I started thinking when I got heavily involved in movement and my own research in practice of movement, that when you're a baby, you most likely don't even know what the limits of your physical body are. You actually don't know that you are you, right? You don't know that you are a baby, you are a newborn, you are a whatever. It's like Zambian or Swiss or Australian or New Zealander or Canadian. You don't know. You don't know that you're a human being. You don't know that you are. You just sense your existence. You don't know the limits of your physical body, which is, for me, was a massive realization on how I was going to retrain my body, my physical body out of pain, how I was going to rewire my whole neuromuscular systems, right? Because I was in a body that I took for granted all my life. I never thought, of course, you don't know, oh, I'm going to move my arm and I'm going to do it like this, like that. You don't know any of those things. They just come so unconsciously. That is what brings later a lot of problems, because no one tries to make us aware, develop awareness of our bodies, our spirits, our souls, our emotions, our everything. We just like grass. We just spring out of something, but we don't have awareness, and that's a problem. That's a big problem. Why? Because again, as a newborn and then a baby and then a toddler and then a child, what you're doing really is just you're learning limitation. At some point, you learn the limits of your body, right? Oh, you don't know that's your leg, but you definitely can feel that someone is touching you, and by that touch, you define what is you and what is not you. Okay, when you drink milk, it's like, oh, okay, you don't know what is inside and what is outside, but definitely you can sense something, right? That is it's within. You don't understand the concept of within, but you feel what within is because you experience it. And so it goes. Later, you realize that as a baby, if I take this pen, right, at certain age, and I drop it, and dropping it if dropping would mean to fall upwards, you wouldn't bat an eye, because you don't know yet. You haven't learned yet the laws of this physical realm. It could go sideways, it could float. You wouldn't care less because you still haven't learned limitations of physics 101. That's why you keep trying to do crazy stuff like putting really big stuff into tiny stuff, pushing the car from the inside and so on, right? Because you don't know, you haven't been long enough in this world, and you haven't developed enough awareness to make a collection, of data that leads you to understand more physics, right? And then through social interaction, family interaction, then education, formal education, you learn limits. Everything is limits. That's why when someone is born, it's just limitless, because you simply are not aware that there are limits. So when we go through from 0 to, I don't know, 25, right? It's learning limits. And then we become this hardware that the software that operates it is based on limitation. Nothing else but limitation. No one explains us that this is just how we are adapting. We are learning the game. But this is just part of the game. We learn to be matter. We learn to be physical. We learn to be bodies. But we forget that this is a learning process. Therefore, it's not our nature. Otherwise, it wouldn't have to be learned. It would be natural, right? Physics, okay, perfect. It's done because this is it. This is it. But by the simple fact that you have to learn it, it means that it's not your nature. Otherwise, you would be equipped with it. It's very interesting. You know, this guy. Now, what I talk, it can be, it goes through so many different levels. I'm talking at so many different levels. At one level, what I'm saying, I understand, sounds ridiculous, but through all the practice, all the thinking, all the contemplation, you come to realize this, right? And what happens is that 24 or 25 years old, you're just that software that has been completely hardwired into the hardware. You're just a machine repeating daily activities based on all the limits that you have come to believe true. Now, do understand what I'm saying? Come to believe that are truth. But in fact, a lot of them aren't. But to be able to revert back to a more limitless experience, then it's awareness. What I was just saying before, it's like, okay, you grew like grass. Then how do we undo it? How do we get that grass to be conscious that it's much more than grass and it's just playing a little part in a little tragedy or comedy, depending how you look at it. And you know what happens at that age, 24, 25, then you think like you are matter, right? And you're in a material world and everything is limitation. So what happens? You end up believing that things happen to you. This is what the world is based on today. I don't know how it's going to be in 10 years or 15, but I don't think it's going to be any different. I believe it may be a lot worse, unfortunately. So we end up seeing ourselves as recipients of things happening to us. We are victims. There's a theater, we are in the middle, and everything happens, and we have no control of. Other than work harder, try harder, like just what Joe Dispenza says, like matter trying to change matter. So with your enormous acumen of limiting beliefs, you're trying to change something, which that doesn't help much, right? Think about it. It just doesn't fucking help, right? If you are a ball of limiting beliefs, there's only so much you can do to change the rest of the matter, because you're a tiny matter against everything. Everything, the world, society, the economy, politicians, doctors, everything, So it's tough. But the point is, going back to what happened, I called you. No limiting beliefs. You see me on the screen. Actually, I stopped calling you because in the past you were so distressed by seeing Daddy on the screen, yet not being able to touch him. You were so frustrated, you cried, so I stopped it. But nowadays you're a little bit more mature and emotional, so I can do it. But the instant you see me on the screen, you're not thinking, oh, how did Daddy appear? No, I'm just there. It's like, that's not Daddy, that's an image of Daddy. You're not thinking that. That is Daddy, he's there, that's it. You're not thinking, what a shame that Daddy's not here with me. No. You're not even thinking, oh, I'm glad that Daddy just arrived. No. I'm not there and I'm there. You pass no judgment. Not there, there. The instant you see me on the mobile, you start pointing to the book that you were looking at, right? Because you want Daddy to tell you what this is, what is that, what is that, what is that. But just the same, just as if I had been here all afternoon, all evening. You reacted as if I had been there all the time, right? And then you just go to get your bottle of water, because you always do this. You always bring it to daddy. Even if mommy gives it to you, you bring it to daddy because you want to drink with daddy's help. And you bring it to me, right? For you, it's absolutely important that you can see only my face. You cannot see my arms. You cannot see my hands. It's absolutely important that you don't see the rest of my body. It's absolutely important that you have seen me before. You don't have the limiting belief that daddy cannot help you to give you water to drink. But the thing, buddy, is that this is not true. And that's what I'm going to focus a lot of the guidance that I'll give you in the future years, to help you to understand that we are much more than matter, and that most beliefs are only a set of rules that we as humanity, we as collective consciousness have agreed upon. That's it. You know, I don't know how it develops, because I don't think anyone does. But from the unmanifest, which is God, God before the manifestation, God before being the eternal womb, ever giving, like life, birth to everything. That is a side of God that most people don't want to hear about, they don't want to talk about, they don't understand, but it's there. Prior to what scientists would call Big Bang, what was it? Nothing. But nothing is a very, very strong, very, very difficult, very complex concept that I'll talk about in another time, if ever. But that's one side of God, the unmanifested, the absolute nothingness, the absence, the total absence, darkness that goes beyond darkness. But also, people don't like that, anything that says God and darkness is. But I'm just talking about darkness, like absence of light, not bad or evil. So, yeah. I lost my track for a second. Anyway, so that's a God, the unmanifested God, right? We don't know how it is that God manifests and evolves into all this, into collective consciousness of different creatures. But it does exist, and actually a lot of scientists have seen it, can even be measured in a way, right? That humans as a whole is also one mind. We live, we are just individual, and that's it. But actually, no, we are actually like bees, all the bees together. They may not have individually, I'm John and I'm Mike and I'm Susie, but they have a mind of the hive, the whole hive. And even monkeys, for example, they have been observed that monkeys that learn something in an island that was completely isolated from any other monkey territory ever in the world, after a few years, just by them knowing, collective consciousness spreads around the world, and all monkeys start showing the same action or activity, the same learning. Even they never had the physical presence to learn a certain skill, for example. So this is beyond something I have to explain or prove. So we have that collective consciousness. Again, I don't know how it happens, but it does. And this collective consciousness, along with all the other collective consciousness of every other creature, earth, universe, everything, right, somehow agreed upon these physical limitations, this just physics, pure physics, Newtonian physics, right? That there's something we call gravity that I'm not sure about this one, and people go insane on this one, but it's just a theory. No one contends that things don't go down, but why they go down is a very different subject, and it has to do with electromagnetism instead of gravity. But let's leave that fight for another day. Anyway, but the point is, yeah, that because I'm digressing so much, so many subjects that I enjoy talking about so much, but well, yeah, my little brain needs to get more active, you see. Yeah, so got it. Collective consciousness. So that's all what physics, the laws of physics are. They're just an agreement among all the different collective consciousness that gather and make super consciousness of what this reality is, which in a way is just another being, enormous, fantastically humongous and complex, but it's just another expression of consciousness of God. Let's put it that way. Right? So, as such, because it's an agreement of consciousness, it exists only as long as the collective consciousness believes so. As such, we are not matter. We are just in a belief because we have been conditioned for 20 or 25 years that this is all there is. This is just matter and that's it. And because we spend every single second of our day, learning and integrating all these beliefs, then we end up believing that that's all there is. But we forget that the one learning didn't know it, therefore is not subject to. Because before you were subject to limitation, you were free from it. For the most part, of course. I mean, if you right now like get suspended on air, you definitely go down. Of course, sure. But even those things, I mean, it's reported in not in new literature, but literature from early 20th century, how like the Tibetan monks, they could levitate enormous multi-ton rocks, right? Enormous rocks, like, and put them in places that is like, how is that possible? And they just did it with sound and pray. It may sound crazy for people, but the fabric of reality can definitely be altered by thought alone, by emotion. Well, not emotion, but higher emotions. Anyway, but point being, you are much more than matter. You're that precedes matter, your energy. And as such, you have the absolute capacity of changing the world. Not only like hard work and sacrifice, yeah, that's one way, and it's very slow and it's very painful. That's okay. And that's part of our human nature, and we all have to go through it. But more than that, through belief, through awareness, through consciousness, through visualization, just by the mere fact of knowing that you are much more than what it seems, it's liberating. And you will never truly be caged by limiting beliefs to the extent that as most people are. So that's it. That's when I saw, imagine how many things I think when I see you on the phone and trying to get to give me your water, so I give you water to drink. That's how my mind runs sometimes. But I'm sorry that I lost my trail of thinking a few times. But it's just that while I'm speaking, I'm already thinking 25 more other things. And because I have the freedom in these videos to be myself, to speak the way I want, because I don't have to communicate in a very specific way for a brand or for a customer or for a very defined concept, right? And I can be myself, and then if I lose my trail, well, who cares, right? And if I jump to many different subjects, doesn't matter as long as I get back to the center, and I try to do that always, and most of the times I succeed. But this is funny thing, just to end up this video. Before your mummy, I never understood the way I thought, because I saw people thinking a very linear way, very linear, very like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's it. And they usually have only one thought. I mean, they follow a single thought through and through from beginning to end, if they happen to, because a lot of people just don't know how to communicate much. But I see the way most people think. And then she told me, "Oh, you are arboreal. Arboreal, like from the tree, right? Like a tree, like." And I got it. I was like, because just the thought of it, just the image of a tree, just was like a perfect match to the way I think. The way I think is like one thought, and then a trillion branches and leaves, and more branches and more leaves, and more branches and more leaves, and it doesn't happen like tick, 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 bit by bit, step by step. It just happens. I get an idea and I have a full picture, and it's kind of visual. The way I have all this, it's an explosion of thoughts, and I can kind of follow them all through at the same time. And so that's why when I talk, I establish one point, but then I add another point and probably another point, and then I go back and I close this one, and then I close this one. I come here and I go back to another, which makes very difficult for people without attention or a bit of imagination to follow the way I speak. But I have modeled it very well when I'm in business or something. Then I have stopped doing that. And that I have to recognize. The same person I was complaining about earlier in the video, that he helped me because he's the opposite, right? But in a way, I needed that. I needed someone to tell me, look, I'm asking you this. Please answer only this. Could you? I was like, whoa, that's difficult. How am I going to answer only in one way, in a linear way? So it took me a while. It took me actually a lot of effort to be able to stick to one line of thought instead of giving a first thought and then complementing it, because some people just don't have the time, they don't have the attention span, or they just don't have the intelligence to put everything, when I stitch it all together, to see the picture I have formed or have tried to form in their minds. Anyway, so let's make a conclusion, because this was a video that I am sure you're way smarter than myself a million times. So I'm just doing it just in case, right? If probably what I was not clear enough, but here it is. You are much more than the matter that you can touch. The world is much more than a stage where things happen to you, and you are not by any means a victim of any circumstances. You, as a part of the collective consciousness, as you are as much as an actor as you are as a creator. You got that? You are as much as an actor as the creator of this reality. So you get to choose your reality, buddy. That's what I want you to know. You get to choose even your limits, even your limitations. But if you can define limitations, and try to have the list of them, obviously, why not try to choose a limitless existence. And when you do this, you can't be a victim, because otherwise you can't be a victim. But who's the bad guy? You, because you are creating your own reality, and that's the truth. And that's what people actually hate when I talk like this and when they hear people saying these kind of things. Because people love being victims. Because it's easy to be a victim. And when you tell them that they are the ones that are victimizing themselves, man, be ready to run, because people go insane. Because it's much easier to say, it's the world, it's the economy, it's the whatever it is. It's my dad. No, it's you. At the end, it's you, always you, and forever you. And that, instead of being a problem, it should be the best news of the day and the decade and the century. Because that means that if you are the idiot causing pain to yourself, who can be the hero? You, sir. You can be the hero. So be the hero of your own story. And by that means, be the one that is awesome. Be the one that stops at nothing. Be the one that never thinks that something can't be made or can't be done. Be the one that never imposes a limit, that never says no to yourself, that I can't. Those are one of, I hate this word, I can't. You can. You may choose not to. Daddy has chosen not to. A lot of things. A lot. I have paid prices for it. Very heavy prices. But I just can't take stuff. You know, I can't. I just said I can't. But I just don't want to do certain things. I don't want to. It's not that I can't. I can. But my will is just too strong. My beliefs are just too strong. And my love for life is just too strong to surrender to stuff that takes life out of my life. That's it, little one. I thought this was going to be a very short video. It's almost midnight. But I hope you like it. And I hope it's useful for you. And I love you. That's the most important part. I love you. Take care, little one.